The plan is simple. A TPU Squeegee that has a skeleton made of PETG. I've done similar stuff like putting magnets and other hardware in 3D prints, and this just seems like the next logical step. Only this time I'm printing the hardware that's going to be inside of it. I'd better start off with a smooth build plate. This will allow the squeegeeing action to be perfect. Just kidding, it's the back of my textured plate. So of course, right off the bat, ran into some trouble. I thought I wouldn't have to do the bed level meshing feature, but I forgot that I had a bunch of drops of super glue on the other side of the build plate, which kind of gave it a wavy topography. Bunched up the filament in a couple spots. It was just unpleasant to watch more than anything, because this part's not going to be seen when it's done. After learning from this mistake, now I just home it just as a precaution every time I change from one type of build plate to the other. Results were apparent on the next part. Should have done this to begin with. It's always a nice feeling. You got it nice and true and tram and level, and those are all different things, but they help each other. Now I just have to wait for the moment that it pauses and I can start putting in the part. Stringing was, I would say here, a major issue, because any amount of stringing was able to push up the PETG part, and then it would have ran into the nozzle when it's bridging it to seal it in, so I had to take care of that. And still I couldn't find everything, and it kept lifting up, so I had to go back in a couple more times and try to pick out every bit that was there. And I had this filament drying since last year, so that shouldn't have been the problem. Later on I found a couple ways to help mitigate this, and we'll get to those in a bit. Good luck, printer. And just by the hair of my chinny chin chin, it worked. Pushing into it a little bit, got a thin layer going on there. And I guess that's looking like it's gonna work out. I'll add a little bit of room in future designs to give it more room. Other than all that, this came out pretty good. I should have sprayed some water on here to take this off. This is kind of hard to watch too. There was a bit of bending that was going on at the edges, which made it not as effective on the last half inch or so of the blade. I plan on making this thicker in future versions as well. The old back of the build plate finish there. Polarized light. It will always point toward the sun on a blue. And this wasn't quite what I was expecting. It's pretty good for a first draft, but that tip is just way too stiff. Well, that's unfortunate. For the second version, like a good scientist, it's good to change as many variables as you can. So in addition to making it narrower, changing the tolerances, I'm also steepening the angle of the tip without changing the angle of the core inside, because the overhang becomes kind of a problem for the pocket that the core goes into. And let's try this out and see if it works, see if the sharper angle works. I have high hopes for that. And knowing what to expect here, I enabled seam blockers to block the slicer from making seams anywhere in the pocket, in the sharp corner of the pocket, that would be hard to remove the stringing, and also turn on avoid crossing parameters. With all that, I'd have to say it's about 50% the amount of stringing that I had to cut out versus the last time. When and where the rubber met the road, it ended up being a little bit squishier, which made it easier, and it being narrower meant I could get a better feel for how to squeegee. Not quite there yet though. We'll have to take it a step further. So the third one I'm going to make a couple changes on. First thing being making the handle a little bit easier to hold on to, and then I'm adding a lip that will be 2 layers high and come off about 1/8 of an inch to act as a wiper. And I'm hoping that this will glide along a surface rather than chisel into it. The last thing that I changed on the print settings was lowering the nozzle temperature by a whole 5 degrees, going from 230 to 225. And this made it so filament wasn't dripping out of the nozzle while it was traveling. Quick tip for if you're playing along at home, just put your super glue on one part and your activator on the other. That way, if something gets jammed and you can't quite get it in, you won't have hardened super glue that you'll have to pick out for your second attempt. It will buy you some time. So I found out the third time is the charm, and this had really good coverage. I'm going to call it here for now. There's still a little bit of room for improvement, but I don't know, I'll try another TPU someday or something. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you're not subscribed, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, and I'll post this model up so you can download it and try it yourself if you want. Alright, thank you. Bye.